Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. When it was announced that Sergey Kovalev was going to have his final fight against Artur Mann of Germany, I thought, well, that's an interesting choice because Mann isn't a pushover. I've seen him fight before. I think he's from Kazakhstan originally. Now he's based in Germany. He's 34 years old. He's seen better days. He was never world class. He got found out against Maris Bradis, stopped him in 3 rounds. Kevin Lorena, I think, beat him in 4 rounds. But he scored some decent wins. And his last fight, for example, I can't remember the guy's name, but he beat him in 8 rounds, knocked him out, 7 or 8 rounds, something like that. That might have been the last time I saw him. It was his last fight. That was an undefeated guy, and he's a type of European level cruiserweight that you would think would give a 42-year-old Kovalev, who's clearly seen better days and has been extremely inactive. You'd think he'd give him some problems. Well, he did give him some problems. Fortunately for Kovalev, he managed to pull out the win in 7 rounds. But at 42, this is the time to say goodbye. This was only his 3rd fight in about 3 years, 2nd fight in about 3 years, I think. He lost to Robin Safar, undefeated fighter, on a 10-round decision and was on the floor in the final round of that fight. That was over in Riyadh. That was a year ago, roughly. Then prior to that, he won a 10-round decision over Kubrat Pulev's brother. The fuck's his name? Tervel or something. Tervel, something like that. He won a 10-round decision over him. And then prior to that, you got to go back another 3 years to 2019 when he got knocked out by Canelo in 11 rounds. So, actually, this was only his 3rd fight in 6 years, nearest damn it, 5.5 years maybe. I mean, this is a very inactive 42-year-old. And Artur Mann didn't go over to Russia, which is where this was staged, just to pick up the paycheck. He went there to win. And there were moments where it looked like he would be capable of winning if he did the right thing. Now, first round, I actually gave it to Artur Mann. I thought he landed a couple of very nice punches. Very high guard. Both of these guys, orthodox fighters. Mann with a very, very high guard, walking forward. Career cruiserweight, so he was trying to use that extra natural weight to push Kovalev back. Kovalev had the look of a man who did look old, or older, certainly. What do I mean by that? Well, obviously he's fighting at cruiserweight now. Most of his career was at 175. But when you get into your 40s, you begin to have that heavy look about you. I don't mean heavy as in the weight you've put on. I mean, your legs look a bit heavy. There isn't quite the snap or the spring in your limbs that there used to be. And I got the feeling that was what was happening with Kovalev. He still had the technique, nice, ramrod jab. In the first round, I think he was outdone in the first round. And I thought a couple of punches meant that I gave Artur Mann the round. And there wasn't a great deal in it. And that changed in the second round because Kovalev, again, Mann wasn't throwing enough punches. He was allowing Kovalev to work. Even though Mann was getting up close, he wasn't allowing, he was allowing Kovalev to work because he wasn't letting his hands go enough. And sure enough, there was a very sort of tight right hook that landed up close, very, very close actually, to Mann, and put him on the floor. He sort of went down almost in sections. He sort of, almost in slow motion, and he was hurt. And he got up, and Kovalev put it on him. Kovalev chased him around the ring, was chasing him from pillar to post, trying to batter him. And you got the feeling that this was his moment. It was a 10-round fight, not a 12-round fight. But you thought, Kovalev's going to let it hang out here, and maybe not empty the tank, hopefully, because he still had 8 rounds to go. But he was going to try and get him out of there. Now, in the 3rd round, having survived that crisis, Mann started to come on quite strong. And he found what is so often the key to the door in fights, which is body work. because I gave him the third round. I'll give him the first round. I'll give Kovalev the 10-8 in the second. And I thought Mann won the third, really because of his left hooks to the body. He landed a couple that really took the toll on Kovalev. You could tell Kovalev felt them. You know, he stopped his rhythm, didn't quite go backwards, but was reluctant to go forwards, you know, taking a sharp breath. And I thought that's the key. If Mann can keep that up, he's got a good chance of winning this fight, because there were still, you know, 7 rounds to go. But he didn't do that. In fact, he was cut on the right eye. And the corner contained the cut. It wasn't too bad. But you felt that Mann, if he didn't continue with that body work, he was going to be outworked. And clearly Kovalev has always had world-class skills. Mann hasn't really. He's a good fighter, but he never had that consistency. He never had that variety of work. He never really had he certainly never had the chin, because this defeat to Kovalev is his 5th fight. He's got 22 wins, Mann, 13 KOs, but this was his 4th inside the distance defeat out of 5 defeats. And Kovalev's fighting at cruiserweight, but he's still, with the sharpness and technique, if he clips you, he's going to hurt you, especially if your chin isn't exactly solid. And the fact that Mann stopped banging to the body and just allowed Kovalev to do his thing, to find his rhythm, to jab well, to hang combinations off the jab. You thought, Mann's letting this slip. When he did land to the body, he was looking okay. He was getting Kovalev's attention, but he just didn't let his hands go enough. And yes, he was still walking forward. He wasn't trying to survive. He was trying to win, but he was walking forward. He wasn't using his own jab enough. And the old cliche about jabbing with the jabber has always held true, but he wasn't doing that. We know Kovalev's got this excellent jab, and he was pinging it down the middle. And even though Mann had a very tight guard, Kovalev, when they were up close, Kovalev seemed to be having the final word, even though Mann was the one that seemed to want it to be an up-close and personal contest. Kovalev was kind of beating him at his own game. Well, the boom was lowered in the 7th, because Kovalev, again, it was a very sort of tight right hook, followed by, I think, a left, which kind of grazed him. But I think it was the hook that did most of the damage. And Mann went down. Again, he doesn't have the greatest of chins. Certainly not something that you need, not type of a quality of chin that you need if you're fighting a world-class fighter. And Kovalev, at 42, they say the last thing you lose is your punch. He was still showing, even though his legs looked heavy and he looked a little bit slower than usual, which you would expect if he's 25 pounds north of his prime division. Nevertheless, he seemed to have the far better technique and the far better ring IQ, and just a bit too much of everything technically for Mann. And Mann went down, got up, looked shaky, and I believe it was his corner that stopped the fight. They got in there and said, no more. And so that was it. So Kovalev, if this is to be his final fight, this is his 36th win with 30 KOs. He's got 5 defeats and a draw. Yeah, we know about that. But I mean, it wasn't a great. It wasn't prime Kovalev, but it's a good way to go out, because he showed he's still got something left. If he was to continue, I don't think he's going anywhere, certainly not in the cruiserweight division. But it's a good win. It's a decent win over a European level fighter. And it's a nice way to go out with a KO win over a relatively decent opponent. I've got a suspicion he'll continue, though. I hope not. But at 42 and with 3 fights in 6 years or whatever it is, it's nah. He needs to stick to his word and quit. But yeah, I don't know if you saw this. It was on Boxing News' YouTube channel. This amazing. They've actually started doing live gigs, and it was over in Russia. Yeah, tell me what you think if you saw it. What did you think of Kovalev? What do you think of his career? I think he's had a great career. He held 3 of the light heavy belts. Adonis Stevenson pretty much ducked him. for the undisputed. Stevenson had the WBC belt, which Kovalev couldn't pick up. A couple of his defeats are debatable. A lot of people thought he won the first Andre Ward fight. Lost the second one. Were there illegal punches in that from Ward? Because Kovalev swore blind. Sorry, Kathy Duver, his manager at the time, they both swore blind that he was getting punched low. I don't know, maybe. Then he lost to Eleider Alvarez. That was a bad defeat, but he avenged it with a good points win in his next fight. That was an impressive comeback fight. He had the Anthony Yard war where he almost got stopped, and Ward just Anthony Yard, he just sort of ran out of gas, didn't he? And too much inexperience, or not enough experience, I should phrase it that way. He could have beaten Kovalev. Canelo, the Canelo fight came 3 months after the Yard war. At 175 where he was struggling, but you're not going to turn down that sort of money, are you? You know, if you get offered whatever it was, 8, 10, 12 million or whatever. And from then on, his career just sort of petered out. But he was a very, very good light heavyweight champion. Very good. You know, and in his prime, he was, you know, smashing up John Pascal twice and beating people like Chilemba when they had something left. You know, Muhammadi, of course, he's got a win over an old Hopkins as well. Hopkins lasting the distance against Kovalev was quite an achievement from his point of view. Yeah, he was beating good people. And, of course, the Nathan Cleverly fight back in 2013, 12 years ago now, when he went over to Cardiff and smashed up Cleverly. I mean, that was a great win. Cleverly at the time was undefeated in 26 fights. And Kovalev went into his backyard and battered him in 4 rounds. So I think he's had an excellent career, Kovalev. But let me know what you think. Comments below. And thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. By the way, we just went over 6,000 subs, so many, many thanks for that. But please subscribe to the channel if you can. Let's keep building the channel up. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very, very much for your time, as always. The weekend is here. Happy Easter and all that business. I'll get you later. Bye for now.